competition shotguns with two that it's all cut out, it's all designed. Is there any way past that one cut, Craig had used his, the IPSA last year? Open. And
It's got you.
Mark.
I got none, triple A, but no double.
And then Craig's got
Mark, so we're good right now. So guys, we're live, just so you guys know, don't say anything you don't want to hear.
I did that too with my girlfriend.
Who does pledge of allegiance?
Yeah.
Let's call the meeting to order. Al, would you lead us in the invitation?
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight in appreciation for the things that you've blessed this club with, and we want to use those blessings to the honor of your glory. Help us to remember our first responders and men and women of our military that are preserving the service, preserving the freedoms that we so much enjoy today. Give us the wisdom to make the right decisions in moving this club forward in your honor, and in the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you, Tom.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, roll call.
John Metcalf.
Here.
Joe Malmgren. Me, here. Peter Von Stierowitz.
Here.
Hal Kimmer.
Here.
Tracy Todd.
Here.
Don Russo.
Yeah.
Thomas Strofsky.
Here.
Neil Bailey. Mike Caprioli.
Here.
Mike Dendinger.
Here.
John Trezell.
Mr. Secretary, we have a
quorum.
Thank you very much. Any board members have a conflict of interest in the items in the agenda tonight? Hearing none, moving forward. Approval of last meeting minutes. So everybody have a chance to read those?
So moved to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Minutes approved. Treasury report, Peter.
Checking account $43,676.97, Vanguard $810,561, PayPal $671.31, and petty cash $200. We took in guest fees $1,310 last month, for a total of $855,109.28.
Thank you, Peter. We'll have a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Treasurer's report accepted. Thank you, Peter. Financial communications to membership. I sent you out what I would call the final hard draft of that today. Hope everybody had a chance to take a look at it. Do you have any questions, any concerns, any comments? Was it understandable? Looking at Dom over there, he's my.
Understandable to me.
All right.
I have a question. So
Yes, sir.
as I read through this, I was trying to figure out what is the exact message that we want to send, like that we're trying to send.
That one, the board has a good look at the financials of this club, and that we have financials at the center of what we're trying to do, maintain the assets, as well as be able to understand the differences in the different funds that we're establishing, one of which is the new strategic capital fund that will take us into next year. And that hopefully that the members will be able to read this, understand that we have a good handle on that and for their benefit for the long term.
I think we could maybe look at that.
That's the goal. I don't believe that goal has been achieved.
Well, I mean, just when I read through this, John, it's like, I kind of got it because I was here. I'm a board member, and I understand it, right? But when I read through this, I was kind of thinking, gosh, man, this is a lot for one of our, one of our members, right, that's not involved in this to understand. I'm just trying to figure out, is there an easier way for us to send the message versus, I didn't do a word count, but man, this is a lot. I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are.
I just want to make sure, this is the document we're talking about, right? February 20.
No,
Financial message.
it came from John.
It was an attachment to.
It was
our
an attachment
agenda.
to an email that John sent out.
I think we could move, I think it could be maybe simplified a little bit to make it a little more clear. I mean, essentially, we want them to know that we're being good stewards of the funds here. We've got a plan for the future. I thought it was a little heavy, so that, we might be able to.
A little what?
Heavy.
Oh, heavy.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you said
it was
peppy.
Like, to your point, it was like a lot, I thought it was, just maybe a lot, but, and then, I know I was talking with Peter, and there was a, concerning this particular, communication, and we are wrapping up our end of our fiscal year, and I'm thinking, it suggested we wait till after we get those final reports, and I think that might better serve us to put it out with that. Because I think if we were in a situation where we were raising the dues significantly, then I think this would, behoove us to have it come out before that happens. But since we're not, and I'm just looking at it from a vantage point of, a lot of questions, like, so if you're looking at that report, it's not, it could be totally inclusive of the fiscal year, and then it would kind of tie things up with a nice.
I would like to, yeah, I agree with that.
Why don't we take?
You don't think they would understand this?
So,
Not our regular members. I don't think so. I think it's a lot to read and a lot to comprehend. I mean, others help me out here. I mean, if you guys feel differently, but I would like to do what John suggested and table this for now and do it as part of our fiscal year communication.
But that's even gonna be more complicated than that.
I have to say, it's a page and a half, and I think it strikes a nice balance between being comprehensive and wordy, and, I think it's readable. It may be more than the average member is gonna pay attention to.
Let's do this, we will table it for now, and Jill, I'll get with you, simplify it.
yeah.
Okay, we'll move on from there. Jill, you would, NRA grant?
Yes, just wanted to let everybody know that we purchased some steel targets for the rifle and multi-purpose range with funding from grant funding from the NRA Foundation. So that funding was about just shy of $4,000, and that's about where roughly these targets will land. They included a gong target system, 2 12-inch steel gongs and stands for the rifle range, a silhouette target system, a pistol hostage target, 2 auto reset popper targets, a spinner target, and a commercial grade plate rack. So thanks to David Heath for looking over what I proposed.
I had to put them out, but people just shoot at them.
So, but very excited to get some of those steel targets for our ranges. That is all updated, and then once all of those, once I have final information on any shipping charges that would influence the kind of that grant budget, I'll go ahead and finish the grant report and submit everything necessary to the NRA Foundation. So
Good.
we'll wrap that up once I get the final tallies.
Good. How much was that grant again?
It was $3,999.
Or-
And this is budgeted out. It should land right there. So I tried to allow some shipping allowance there, so there might be a little deviation, but it should be pretty close to that.
Okay.
That's all said and done.
And would you like to discuss the reinstatement policy?
Yes. So does anyone need a copy of the old one and the new one? So,
I printed mine out, Jill, and I left it at home with a bunch of other stuff.
yeah.
I hate it when that happens. I do that more often than not.
You see our fancy tripod, right?
Where? There's 2 here. There's the
Thank
new one. Do you need the old one?
No, just the new one. Thank you.
Does anyone need the old one?
That was very good.
Okay. So, Anyone over here need the new one? You guys are good? Okay. So there's the old
Well,
one.
attached to the agenda.
So I brought the old one just in case you wanted a point of reference. So,
I'm good. No.
Mike, can you give me one of those?
You bet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, one thing we wanted to get this addressed, so we had real clear messaging as renewals are coming up, and want to be able to, as you know, if members are reconsidering, we want to be able to reference them to the policy if they have any questions about that. So thought it was important to, establish a couple of things. One, you'll notice in the break of if the break of active status is less than 1 year, we've added in completing the work hours and attending an orientation meeting. Two reasons. One, to kind of catch anything that may have changed if they did take a time period, but we also want to make sure that people are taking advantage of are not taking advantage of just not paying their dues on time. It's not fair to our members who do pay on time that, those that maybe want to wait almost a year to make that payment. So we want to, certainly really discourage that and encourage people to pay on time. You'll notice the 1 to 5 years, again, we added volunteer hours, we added in supervised shootings, and also the RSO time, because after that 1 year mark, a lot of things can change at our range, whether it be facilities or safety protocol. And so if they've taken a break like that, I think it's important for those members to have the information that they need. And then we added in, if the break in active status is 2 years or more, the candidates are required to complete the qualification process for the disciplines with which they want to shoot. Again, just like what we've seen here in the indoor range, want to make sure that anybody that is being reinstated has the information they need to shoot out of ranges safely. And that was, essentially it was a little bit gray. A lot of these were based on questions and feedback that we've had over the past year, or situations where, you're kind of struggling with what to do. I think this will clarify it and also be a stronger incentive for folks to hold on to their membership. Yes?
I've got a problem with it.
Okay.
We dropped the late payment fee, I think, to $25 last month, because a lot of people struggled with the $75 payment.
Mm-hmm.
Last year and the year before, I had to contact people who were dropped. My name was on the thing, and I got the emails and the calls saying, you just sent me a letter that I'm dropped from the rolls of the club. I never got my thing, I forgot, my wife threw it in the garbage, whatever the excuse was. And our policy has always been, for the first year, just pay your dues. You're not taking anything away from the club because you haven't been able to attend anything if the RSOs are doing their job. They should not allow you on the range without a current sticker. So it's always been you just pay your dues plus the $25 and you're back. After a year and up to 2 years, I'm okay with all of this. But I think the timeline, I think you should have a year. In other words, the first year from April 1st, and then in February, it's like, my God, I went to the range and they wouldn't let me in. I didn't realize. I got this letter. I'll pay my dues. They don't need to be re-educated or do more work hours because if they had paid their dues, they wouldn't have to do it anyway. After 2 years, you've really given up on the club. And then I'm okay with all of this stuff. So I think this should be from 2 years to 5 years. And less than 1 year, you pay your dues, you pay your late fee. There's no late fee in this one. You just have to do it. And a background check, I just think it's onerous for a guy who's, most of the people that don't renew after the first year and then want to renew just forgot about it. They're older guys. I had a couple of guys when we had the $75 late payment just say, it just isn't worth it for me to pay my $120 plus $75, so I'll just let it go. So.
Isn't that handled, though, down underneath here, appeals? If the membership chairman believes the situation warrants appeal,
of the reinstatement process for a specific
I
applicant?
probably had,
go through that if they don't have?
yeah, I probably had 50 of these people do this.
Gosh.
Believe me, and I don't want to see 50 people coming to meetings with appeals. It's silly. I think if you forgot to pay your dues for a year, you haven't forgotten the rules or anything, because if you pay your dues, we don't make you read the rules. And we certainly don't need another background check. That's $40. So I'm going to say that we should just change this from, if it's less than 1 year, you pay your dues and you pay the fine. From 1 year to 2 years, after 2 years.
The background check has not changed,
Yeah.
so that's.
No,
that
we
was
never
just-
charge them for a background
Well,
check when it's less than a year.
All reinstatement candidates must complete a new background check and will be charged the fee for the applicant's background check. That was in the old, that was in the old
Up
one.
to a year, it was just you paid.
I didn't
I think
change
the
that,
confusion
so.
comes in when you
Yeah.
say less than 1 year.
Mhm,
So at 9 months that they have filled,
mhm.
we're saying they have to go through all those points in 9 months?
I mean, some people don't shoot for 9 months just because they get sick or they had an operation.
Or they may have missed, just like Dave said, they may have missed.
Some people just
forget or done it. I think the problem is
So if we
at the 1 year mark, because we give people, when do we drop them from the rolls?
We dropped them from the rolls 90 days after June 30th, so September, we get a letter that they've been dropped.
What about this, John? Change that to a 2
After that
instead of
point.
1.
From the
After that
September.
point, that's when you
Up to
start
1.
being contacted,
And
because
then
all of a
this would
sudden
be
they
2
get
through
they
5.
don't get a letter, they get an email. Some of our people don't get emails.
And then
They get
the
an
less
email
than,
that
right?
says, you've been dropped from the club. And that's when they get,
At what point is
they,
it?
you can email me or call me. I had both my phone number and my secretary's
2 to
email.
5,
And I would get them, what do you mean?
Well, I'm just gonna
I've
leave the
been a member
top
for
line at
30
1.
years.
or up to
I
1.
forgot.
Okay.
So I
And
think
then the second line.
first
2 to 5.
year,
2 to 5?
So
The second.
first
first you
year,
put up the,
pay your dues in full, 240, you don't get prorated dues. Pay your dues in full, even though you didn't use the place for 10 months, and the $25 fee for making us have to do all this stuff.
I mean, I can get
And
on
if we
board
go
with that.
past another renewal, then I'm okay with all of that stuff that's in the first year.
so
Well, that would push it to the second.
removing the attendant orientation
Right.
and the complete 12 volunteer work hours from the, if the break and active status is less than 1 year, just remove the 2 things that are in gray on your copies.
No,
of
and to
yellow.
pay for a complete background check there. I don't think they should have to pay for it. Not if it's less than a year. Why should they have, maybe the guy was in jail for a year, but if he paid his dues, he could have been in jail anyway.
I mean, that actually didn't
Any
change
best
the-
background check?
We got committed.
from the previous one. I mean, I don't,
Murder
We
to
never made anybody.
One at a time. I think, Jill, I think part of the problem is it says less than a year. I think
Yeah.
it should be a year to between a year and 2 years. That would do. In other words, the next renewal period, that would be the 1 year anniversary up to the 2 years. And then active break is from 2 years to 5 years on the second one. Because if it's less than a year, we have been giving people benefit of the doubt, late fee, and them catching up on their dues. Because some of these people are senior members and just have forgotten, most of them are. At least that's what Dave's experience is.
It's absolutely true.
So I would just say clarifying that instead of less than a year, maybe it's the next renewal anniversary, 1 year plus.
well, the previous one did reference the less than 1 year. So, I mean, we could leave the less than 1 year for the pay the full annual dues and then the applicable late fees.
Yep.
And then do maybe that 1 to 2 year
Yep.
period, and then
Thank you.
have
If
the,
you miss 2 payment periods, you're not a good member.
Thank you. I think
I'll make those-
that would clarify it. And one other thing I asked the other day is,
Yeah.
what's the definition of a member in good standing? I think we need to have a definition that's pretty clear.
Okay. I will, I'll make some adjustments and then send them around to you guys via email.
Good.
I personally know members in good standing who have not been to the club for almost a year just because of COVID. And we don't tell them that they've become so unfamiliar that they have to go through orientation.
No, this is if they fail to pay the
Yeah.
dues,
Well, but
neglect the club.
But talk about the rationale for attending the orientation meeting for up to 1 year. If being away from the club means you're unfamiliar with the club, then you go to.
She's gonna change that.
Yeah.
I thought
She's
That-
changed.
You get a year's grace period.
Yeah,
she's
I'll
got-
make some adjustments and send you guys around.
So we're not approving it tonight.
Right.
We'll still
Bat it around.
Okay.
bat it around. That's a
I've
good
always
one.
been under the understanding that a member in good standing is up to date with his dues and has no outstanding charges against him.
No warrants?
No warrants, no.
No felonies.
Once or once.
There you go. Thank you, Jim. Dave, you had a point you want to make on the indoor range.
A couple of things. I did, Lock Dock is really a great program. I went back, you can go back day by day, you can do a 365 day of activity. Of course, it doesn't do guests or anything, just a guy that came through the door. And when you average it all out, we average less than 9 people a day shoot here. Yesterday, according to Lock Dock, 1 person signed in, but 9 people a day. Now, sometimes he's logged in 3 or 4 times, goes back to the car and back, so you gotta eliminate all those logins. But that's what it comes out to be, it's about 9 people a day, or less. So I thought that was interesting, and I gotta tell you, there's a lot of the same people shooting here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a great variety of members. There's probably 50 people that do most of the sign-in, so anyway, I found that interesting.
I'm just curious, when we're looking at those, are we going back? Because I
went to
do,
October.
yeah,
So-
and what I'm seeing is that, so we were closed down for, 4 months? And then before that, and right now, I mean, there's an ammo shortage, right? So I know there's not a lot of people coming and shooting.
Well, that's why I went back to October. I don't
Well,
think there was.
I think we need to go back a couple of years, but actually,
No, that's not possible.
I don't think these numbers are actually going to help us much right now in
I'm
this
just
time.
saying.
I just think they're indicative of people being cognizant of COVID.
Right,
Just now restrictions are coming about, people feel more relaxed. Another one is that ammo
yeah.
shortage. I mean, nothing to say, but I'm just,
There was no ammo shortage.
I can tell you, last Wednesday night, we had 17 people
Wow.
here.
Yep, you can tell when it's junior air rifle, they're all logged in.
Yeah.
It's always- And the other thing that surprised me was there's not a lot of late night shooters or early morning.
Every now and then.
Just
Yes.
not too many.
He won't do that anymore.
Steve, if you watch it.
Yeah, he won't do that no more.
The other thing is I've got estimates for seeding and erosion control on the berm, but I can't get this guy to call me back. I had questions, so we've got a couple of other I called 5 companies. 2 of them have sent people, so I'm waiting on that. David has a fella coming out to look at replenishing the dirt in the berms because they've really eroded to the point where it's a serious condition. And now we've had a couple of landslides on the ASF.
Oh.
So we got to look at that. That's going to be, we've had more than a couple. Yeah.
So in reference to the ASF, so David and I had a conversation today. And so I'm looking at those as that is a need to fix along with the culvert that's on that ASF road. That's not ASF road, but whatever that.
The bridge.
Yeah, that culvert right there, it's gonna wash out. I mean, we're getting into the rainy season here, so I think that we need to prioritize, that over anything else at this point, is the berm and that culvert.
You know, berms are a need,
Yeah.
definitely. on that,
Okay, so with that we talked about, and you're right, that has to get done. And the other thing was I called Spectrum, because we do have approval to go ahead with our high-speed internet for the outdoor ranges once our new year starts. And all the old stuff is out the window. The lady doesn't work there anymore. The thing is timed out, so they're restarting the whole process. So I'll keep you apprised. Hopefully it'll be the same money that it was before, but the guy would not commit to any of that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dave. Peter, any further discussion? Any items? Al?
No, sir, I'm excited about getting the elections on the website started.
Okay. You investigating that?
Yep,
Anybody helping you yet?
not yet. I want to get a scope so I know exactly how much I'm going to want or need.
Okay. All right. Good. Mike Capriola,
Hi.
anything on bylaws yet? Moving?
Well, I'm slowly updating them, and then, the reinstatement process, when you get that done, that we get all incorporated in there.
Okay,
It helped a lot. They sent me the Word version
good,
of it, so.
good. Take a hard look at that. Tracy? Capital?
Yep, so capital, I'm in recruiting mode, trying to get a couple people to help me out with that. And working towards it. I'm starting to pull some information in, and I should have something for us to start talking about by the next time we meet, by our working board meeting.
Thank you, sir. Dom, training?
We are good to go for April.
Good, I saw those go out.
We are good to go now. When we have our next committee meeting, we'll start working on that.
Good.
So
When
we
do
got,
you foresee an open class for, first aid for
every
general membership?
every month.
There
No,
will be
you
a-
say
Yeah.
general membership.
We can't fit that.
Okay, all right,
We got 120 RSOs or thereabouts
okay.
that we gotta do. We do 10 a month. So,
Well, only half the hours is needed. It's a 2-year renewal.
yeah. But this year, there's gonna be all the RSOs.
Catching up.
So,
And shotgun officers, duty officers, we consider them RSOs if we allow them to
Okay, good.
free.
We need to talk about, Dom and I talked the other night, and we need to see if we can add in, one of the problems that we've had with that class is that it is COVID restricted, right? Just because of the nature of what we have to do. So it's not easy to increase the class number, the number of people in a class,
Gotcha.
but we need to talk about, as a committee, if we can add more classes and what that expense looks like, right, to the club. Because that's really what that's going to, we put a budget together based on this is our schedule.
yeah.
We are seeing that we need to add more classes, but that is going to be a budget hit if we do that.
And then Gary's gonna beat the crap out of me.
You're being recorded.
I changed it. I said crap.
Okay, all right, good. Mike, anything on safety?
Yeah, nothing significant.
Okay. I take it that's good, the ranges are safe and people are good, okay. Tom, have you had a chance to look at?
Yes, so I am working on analyzing the match fees. I haven't talked to everybody yet. I'm going to put a document together, and I should have something by the next time we meet.
Excellent.
Like, I know there's no fees paid to IDPA, and those fees from Camarade are just to cover the cost of the targets and things like that. So I'll get more information from everybody else.
Because I think it'd be interesting to see a breakdown by range, by
Right, yeah.
match director, what they do, what they try to recover,
Yeah.
what it's for. And like you said, any fees that have to be paid back to national organizations.
Yes.
And so forth with that. Good. Thank you very much, Tom. You've got a list of all the match
Yes.
directors? Good.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. New business, we have, is this something you would like to take a look at? And
Well, we have a request from Chip Craig. Chip Craig is working with Harold Sodier, and they're beautifying the shotgun range, the outdoor range, and they would like $300 to make the front entrance look nice. And I'd like to give them $500 because I know $300 probably isn't going to cut it. But I think we don't need a motion. I think Gary has told me we can just kind of take Harold's things out of our grounds and general fund, if that's okay with everybody, just so long as they know there may be.
But David, he's general fund?
Yeah.
Well,
He
that's
won't
what
get out of David.
I wanted to ask, is that come out of the XO budget, or does that come out of?
We don't have an XO, so we.
Well, no, we still had a budget, though.
Yeah, but it's not the XO budget.
No, it's just, they call it something else.
Common area.
Common areas.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called now, but
Yeah.
is that David that's using that, or not?
Yeah.
He can use it if he needs it, I mean.
If he needed it, yeah, but does he run it? No.
One at a time.
I'm just asking where the money's coming from.
It'd be out of the.
That fund.
It's coming out of that fund, so we have the budget, that's where, okay,
We're good,
I'm good.
we're good.
Commonality.
Okay, so I can tell him, go right ahead.
Why are you giving me a
What
hard
we
time
want
today?
is the limit of 500 gallons. Up to 500.
How would you feel about that?
Not that he has to
Harold's
spend it
limit
all.
was $3,000, this will add $500 to it, so.
Okay.
He's already started, he's knocking trees down, he's going crazy. And Gary sent the February financial profit and loss statement, if everybody had a chance to look at that.
Yep.
Range requests, we have one. Mike Dendinger requests use of the outdoor range clubhouse, May 1st, from 1 to 5 for an RSO orientation and certification meeting. That's something we certainly need, so. Everybody okay with that? Okay, we need a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Tracy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. All right, Mr. Dendinger.
Okay, that's it. That's all I have. That was our big range request.
Okay. Tracy, indoor range, you wanted to speak to.
Yeah, so we did restrict the range to no guests. So we went through that process. We sent the emails out. We notified our members. At the same time, we pulled all the stools out of the range. So last Wednesday night when I was here, I did a walkthrough. We didn't have, I'm not going to attribute this to no guests, but we didn't have any new damage that was presentable. I did another walkthrough tonight when I got here today, and again, nothing new. So I would say that I don't think it's all the members, all the guests. But what I will say is that I think people now are understanding that we have an issue, and we're going to start restricting the range, and people are starting to respect it more. So we'll see.
Okay.
So I want to keep it going.
Probably a combination of
Yeah.
no schools and the no guest.
Yeah. So I'm going to let it go. I think this is the right move, and I'm not looking to rescind that anytime soon.
It says,
Stools and chairs permanently removed, do you think they'll
Permanently.
come back eventually?
Permanently removed. If you want to bring a stool to sit on, when you're, to sit on to rest, that's one thing, but, not.
How about a couple of signs that say no shooting from the seated position?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. You want me to get you some?
Yeah.
one thing I just want to be cautious of, we don't start looking like the DMV and there were signs of,
Yeah.
you can't, what you can't.
Oh, the reflective one? Oh, we're getting them reflected. By the way,
You want a neon sign?
so I do want to, as we're talking about the indoor range, I do want to talk about a project that we're actually embarking on. And I'll let you, this is your thing, so I'd like to have you kind of let
So-
these guys know.
I designed a little sensor that it's a vibration sensor and it's on a small microcontroller, and we tested it. I sent Tracy a video of it. And what the idea is you would put it on the back of the steel plate that's on the ceiling baffle, and it would sense a bullet strike. And once you sense that bullet strike, you can do a lot of different things with it. You can send a text message. You can lock out the carrier. There's all sorts of options that you have available. We can log it.
Yeah.
So, and we were talking about bringing that in one night and actually testing it, because I put it on my desk and just pounded the desk with my fist to make it go off. But
Nice.
MacGyver.
we could
Yeah,
test it here one day, but we're gonna have
So-
Tracy's gonna have to be the one to shoot the ceiling to try it. But
His damage, right?
yeah,
Right.
it's his damage.
The idea behind this is if we can, as we embark and learn more about this, is actually to be able to, even if we put a light that flashes, or, an audible bell like we were talking about, even a siren, that goes off to let people know that this is what's happening, right?
So where
So
would you place it again, Tom?
Pretty cool.
You would put it up in the baffle. You
on
put it
our ceiling
on the
baffles.
ceiling baffles,
Okay.
yep.
So we can have them in different areas, as we progress on this, we can have them in different areas out there. And when somebody hits that thing, we'll know.
Yeah.
And so will they.
Was it use Bluetooth technology?
Can we have it shoot back?
They'll use Wi-Fi. Yeah.
We can actually automate a robot that would do that.
What kind of cost are we talking?
So the microcontroller was, I got it on Amazon, it was $10, and the sensor, I think, was $4. Yeah.
So we're not talking about an expensive deal, but
It's like an inertial sensor.
as we,
Yeah, it's a little vibration sensor. I'll show you the video.
as we develop this more,
Mm-hmm.
I think there'll be some cost, but I don't think it's going to be major, right? We're talking about lights, sirens, these controllers. I mean, we're not talking about a lot. But, as we develop this, I think that this is something that we'll be able to use in other areas within our ranges as well.
Okay.
So
Why don't you two guys get together, do some testing? And
We
do
are.
a configuration of what you would recommend as like phase one?
Yeah.
With that, what the cost would be? Because what you're talking about here, I'm saying something less than $500.
Oh, it's
big time.
way less than $500 for a test. I mean, one of the ideas is that we need to build a robot that shoots back. That's going to be expensive.
That would be good. Be careful with that. I mean, the other thing we need to test is how robust these things are. And, can they stand up to heat and take cold and all that stuff.
It's actually pretty cool technology, and it's going to be awesome stuff.
Excellent.
One of the big advantages of that is it would solve a problem we traditionally had trying to search through the video. If it just provided a timestamp, rather than searching through weeks and weeks of video.
Could it take a picture of the person who did it?
We could do that.
It really
Like I said, once you've captured that there's been a bolt strike, you can do anything.
There's a myriad of opportunities of this technology. It's just a matter of how elaborate do we want to go? So we'll do the tests, we'll report back, and then we'll talk about next steps of things that we can do with it.
Okay, good idea.
It's pretty fast.
I mean, because I think, thanks for bringing that to our.
Well, Tom wants $10,000 for the invention.
Well,
I've already trademarked it and copyrighted it, so.
You're
Sorry, at the patent office, huh?
Is there a mechanical alarm on the firing point that snaps?
Thank you, guys. Thank you, I appreciate it. Mark, talk about members. What are they saying out there?
All right. Well,
Good to see you, man.
good to see you too. Sorry I missed a couple. It's been a pretty busy first quarter for me.
That's good.
So first and foremost, April 10th, we've got our swap meet. Jill, thank you very much for working with us on the e-blast, getting that out to the membership.
Sure.
And I'll probably send a reminder over to Norm just to get one more out for the event, but we're in good shape there. Being that it is covering some of the school spring breaks, a little bit tough getting some volunteers maybe to cook pancakes, but I've got a backup plan with one of the local restaurants working with us on some severely discounted prices in case I need to do something like that. Bring that in case we can't do the full pancake breakfast. But one way or the other, we'll have some nice treats there for everybody, and probably anticipating, 50% more than what we had last year in attendance now that we're through part of the COVID. I was approached by some regular members at the shotgun range to find out on an update on the capital request that had gone in for some drainage. I think they wanted to do an expansion of the overhang, and there's something going on with trash cans. I don't know if Gene Holland has an update on that I can get from him, or okay, there it is. I'm sorry, I hadn't met you yet, Gene. My apologies. So if you have the updates on that.
We're actually going to take the trees down at the work session this coming Saturday. And we're going to be getting some bids on doing the grading, to get the stumps up and level it off. And the bid was $15,050 for concrete. I don't think we need to spend that kind of club money. They sat on rock for the last 20 years, so we're just gonna rock it. We can probably do it for $6,000 or $7,000.
And that's for the trash cans?
That's part of the project.
The dumpsters.
Yeah, it was a B, but Gary moved it. And what about expanding the overhang? Is that part of the tree removal?
No request has come to me about that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, I can report that back to them. And then obviously you can see from the activity on the reports, a lot of new members coming through. One of the things that I do get questioned a lot on, and kind of tough to bring this up, but the question is how often are our RSOs retrained each year? Because we have people that are trying to become members and they come to one discipline or another, and they're told one thing one day and then something completely different another day by an RSO. So they're coming to me saying, Mark, what actually do I need to do? In particular, one person came to get registered with pistol here, and they were told you can't shoot steel bullets, and then they said, no, you can shoot them, and then it was you have to get 5 within the 8s, no, it's 5 within the 9s. And they said, well, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to qualify. What can I shoot? What am I supposed to get? And so that was the question, just for the board, just how often do we have?
On those questions, I believe all of our shooting protocols are on our website. It tells them exactly what they have to do.
Really, the message is, hey, Mark, you may want to bring up to the board that the RSOs are given different messages.
That's what I heard you say.
Yeah. So that was it.
Okay.
Fine. So
So
so good.
that's something we can do, Mike.
So, well, what I heard was that members are, and they asked me this too in the rifle club, but members have questions about the various qualification programs.
No, it's that they came to qualify and the website says you have to get 5 shots within the 9s. And then they came and said, and the RSO who was qualifying them said, no, you have to get 5 shots within the 8s, or you can shoot this type of bullet, or you can't shoot that type of bullet. It's just inconsistencies.
The question then is not with RSOs, because we don't qualify anyone.
Right.
Their questions are with the qualifying team.
Okay.
So they maybe read something or heard something, and then the team member says, no, yeah, you'll have to be in the 8 ring. That's not an RSO, so
Right, okay.
those guys are not trained, to be honest with you. We really don't have an ongoing training program for them. But we
Could be something we look into,
Yeah, we can
and
look into
that would help.
No, thank you for that input, though. I mean, because I think that's where we get with Matt on the rifle qualification.
Is it the rifle qualification or pistol?
I've had it only on rifle and pistol, not on shotgun, but I've had quite a few recently, and especially because, we shut down for a little while for December, and then with COVID, so we had a large influx of people that are coming through the program now. So we have a lot of conditional members that are eager to get through, and they're trying to rush through it, and so if one little thing goes wrong, and they see me, they're like, hey, Mark, this happened out,
So
I'm another coming.
So I will take it to the pistol team, right? I'll take those comments, I'll take that to them, because I work closely with Ron. Ron is the one who manages our pistol qualification team here. So I'll take it to him and we'll have that discussion. I know for a fact that it is within the 9s. That's exactly how it's communicated,
And
so.
I'll take it to Matt, but I'm on the line.
Okay, good. Well,
And that's within the 9.
We were,
I'm sorry, within the 8s.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's within the 8s.
about a year and a half ago, we were together with the
It's the
mayor
same
and
target for
Jeff.
rifle and pistol.
Right.
So the best way to do it is just point at the target and say, you have to do this at 100 yards with the rifle, and you have to do this with the pistol. And it just has to be on the paper.
Yeah.
Within the 8.
Hang on, Mike.
A lot of these questions are answered if they just flip over their conditional member tracking sheet and look at the back. Because about a year and a half ago, I worked hard with Mayor and Jeff Bowman to put the qualification steps for each one of these. on
And that is something I reinforce heavily in
Yeah.
the new membership meeting. I'm like, turn it over, keep this with you at all times, look on the
But I'm
back.
not-
But they get a lot of information during that process, so I
I'm
think
not
that's,
sure that the requirement of which ring to put.
Yeah, but that's kind of an esoteric.
No, well, it's, they're getting, what I'm hearing, they're getting mixed messages. So you're gonna talk to Matt.
Yeah.
And make sure every one of the qualifiers understand.
We'll be there
And you're gonna talk to Ron, make sure all the qualifiers understand.
We'll take care of it.
And we're consistent across the board. All thing I want is consistency out of this thing.
Well, and I think that's what the members want too, and I'm not trying to point anybody out, but he just pulled out the target and said you have to be on paper, and Tracy, you said you had to be within the 9s.
Oh, no, that was a mistake. I was reading it backwards in my mind. I was thinking the 9s were on the outside. He's right. It's within the 8s. It's on the paper. So that's my mistake, and I backtracked that.
But, okay, so what if you hit the
Right,
corner?
what, we're not gonna
No.
debate it. What? We're not gonna debate it.
I think I made my point.
All right, we're not gonna debate it here. You're gonna get with Matt, you're gonna get with Ron, and you're consistent across the board. Because I think we're confused now with that.
So no, we're not.
Analysis.
Who's up first?
John, doing the shotgun qualification class, I hear some stuff come up too, that RSO said I could do this or couldn't do that. And what I say in that class is that I'm an RSO, I haven't worked over there in a while, but I keep a set of rules in my range back. And I encourage the new members to keep a set, because RSOs are human and they can make a mistake. And I never had an argument with a general member, because if I saw them doing something and they went, oh, come with me, take them over to my truck, pull out, look to that page, and I go, read this.
Good point.
And they would go, oh. So I encourage the new members to keep a set of rules with them, and if a RSO tells them something they don't think is correct, they have the right to take it to the RSO and say, this says this, am I reading it wrong?
Every member has a copy.
I got you. And would you two just get back with me and let me know what the answer is?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
on that, so we can make sure we're on the same paper too.
And I can
On
say one more thing to it
qualifications,
that
yeah.
I think is worthy of getting just a board discussion and agreement on. We have a lot of shotgun events where it says guests are welcome. Well, we have guests that have, guests and members that have arrived with a guest for like a non-tournament event, and a guest is shooting and the RSO says, you cannot shoot at the same time. You have to supervise your guest. But if you're in a tournament and you're bringing guests, you can't
Do that.
You can't do that. So that's, again, another conflicting set of rules that people just said, Mark, what am I supposed to do on this? And just do the best we can. So just something to share.
Okay.
The difference is, can I address that? The difference is an event should have a dedicated RSO or SRO.
Yeah. These questions come up.
Okay. Got it. I'm with you. Because I think like when we do the Protector event out there, I forget her name.
Joanne.
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 Yeah. She acts as sort of like the overseer, supervisor, because she walks up and down the line when she makes the calls. Where if you're out there shooting with a guest and there's no one out there with them except you, that might be the differentiating point.
Yeah,
I'm just
could be.
saying that may be with that, but thank you on that. Good. By the way, Mark, anybody say anything about the club, the website, finances, anything?
No.
So everything's pretty quiet?
Everything's pretty quiet on that.
Okay.
Well, the stuff that's going right, people are pretty quiet about. It's just people
That's
want to
good.
talk about what may be frustrating them.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I think sometimes that can be, no doubt about that. Dave, you want to take care of mayors?
Okay, new member orientation, Mayor Cialante reported that we had 33 conditional members that joined at the March meeting. So bear with me because I have to read these names into the minute. Greg Chamberlain, Cassie Gagnon, George Banks, Thad Anton, Kendall Daly, Eric Stover, Steve King, David Shatino, Jacob Moore, Len Ament, Dave Schultz, Richard Kuterer, Frank Arado, Charles Potts, Jason Romano, Will Marshall, Paul Garrett, Jeff Davis, Gary Edgington, Richard Stevens, Christian Bell, Sarah Verando, Danica Thomas, Ludwig Zahn, Glenn Tanner, Aaron Benjamin, Blinn Cushman, Ethan Coderre, Lisa Coderre, Jay Weitzel, Steve Barati, Aaron Barati, and James Tobin. As of now, we have 69 prospective members on the waiting list. Of those, 29 are older names that may not ever come. They've been invited to at least 2 meetings. 5 of those want to come but have health issues. So realistically, there are about 45 members we still need to process through the system. We have another meeting April 10th and on May 15th with about 16 each. This will leave us with about 13 going into June. I anticipate reopening registration in late May to fill a few slots in June and staying at our normal monthly 16 or so after that time. As I mentioned last month, not reopening registration until late May will allow us to catch up and not ask people to pay a deposit and wait for several months before moving forward. All the new conditional members have been made aware multiple times that it may be several weeks before they are assigned a mentor, but they can move ahead on other parts of their membership process and may still shoot while being supervised in the meantime. So we need a motion to accept these members.
I make a motion to accept.
Tracy,
Mike?
Mike? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Welcome new members, so when you get a chance to welcome them in. They say we have a meeting on April the 10th. Is that going to be in conflict with the swap meeting?
No, we're gonna do it in the afternoon
Late
after
afternoon?
this.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, after 2:00. Good. Thank you. All right, good. Mr. Heath, outdoor range, sir.
We gotta do the road or not?
I'm sorry?
We gotta vote on concreting the road, or we just gonna forget about it?
I'm not going to forget about it.
Why didn't we vote about it yet?
Okay. What else we got going on outdoor range?
Oh, you're not gonna do it, okay. That's about it.
Okay. Mike Dendinger, I asked you earlier, Gene Holland.
I sent my thing in. I didn't think I would be here today because we had a tractor trailer of clay targets delivered. But the driver called me and came earlier today, so Tracy helped us out.
Don't blame him at all.
We, I'm trying to meet everybody. I met the folks, doing the protector shoot last weekend. And I went down to 5 stand for the flurry this past weekend. Most of the folks that are volunteering have agreed to stay on. Jack Broadhurst is gonna stay on as our office manager, and Bill Simmons is gonna be our facilities manager, taking care of all of our projects. He's going ahead right now with looking at getting paint to paint the new fences and paint the pergolas on fields 3 and 4. I did have a request that I have not talked to Dave about yet. We have some elderly members that come out and shoot a couple days a week, and they can't stand up the whole round of ski. So they're wanting to put some benches out on the fields between position 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, like we have down at 5 stand. So I asked 5 stand if we could borrow a couple to put up there, and they said, no, we use all ours. So I'm gonna price, I took some pictures of them, got the names plate. I'll price those and see what those cost and get back. But other than that, we're gonna go ahead and try to get started on getting the dumpsters moved. We took some stuff that was in this year's, to do this year, if approved by the board, and we're moving it to, what was it, Dave, the 1 to 3 year, the ones that we talked about today.
Yeah, Gene had asked Jack Broadhurst. There's a bunch of things that we approved in the A list, which really aren't necessary, but there are some things in the B list that we feel are more necessary, or shotgun director field. So Gary approved late today, moving the money from the B to the A and the A back to the B. And it'll actually be less expensive because the things they took out of A were more expensive than the things that were in B that we needed to move forward. And like Gene said, we're not going to do a cement thing to put the dumpsters on. They're going to use gravel, which will save probably 10 grand. So a win-win, I think. So that's what.
Good. Let me just say, Gene, thank you for stepping in. I know what Scott's going through, and I appreciate your due diligence and stepping in. Couldn't ask for a better person to step up to that. And you're well respected in the club, and you always make good decisions, and you treat people with respect, and I appreciate that.
I told Dave today, my biggest concern, Scott has helped me a lot. I kind of feel like I'm always forgetting something. Everybody has come out of the woodwork with a great idea to do this year. Since somebody new is there. But Dave told me today, if I oops and we forget something, we'll fix it the next week. But Scott has helped me a bunch. I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to do it.
Well, we appreciate you stepping up.
Bravo.
Big time.
We have a lot of good volunteers that are agreeing to stay on. We have a new guy coming on. Gary is stepping down from 5 stand. We have actually a conditional member going to take over 5 stand.
Okay. All right.
He's been working with Gary for a while.
Good.
Barry Zeke.
Good. Get them involved, and they might want to stay involved if we don't run them off, right?
Yeah, and to my surprise with the ammo situation, we had a really good turnout for the flurry.
Good. Some people are reloading, right?
Yeah.
Or standing in line at 4 o'clock in the morning, one or the other, with that. But again, I can't say enough. Thank you very much. And I know Jack's been a big stalwart with a lot filling gaps in a lot of different places with that. And so with everything that's going on over there, I appreciate it very much. Very important part of our club. I had a chance to mentor 2 individuals yesterday, new conditional members that we had voted in tonight. And one of them's in a wheelchair, one of them's his best bud. So one pushes the other around.
How about that?
And they take care of each other. And they can't say enough about this club, good stuff. And, which is great, coming out of the chute and asked why did they join. They said, well, look at this place. You know? And but they've never seen anything like it. They belong to clubs everywhere else, Virginia, New Jersey. I mean, so yeah, we got a lot. And you mentioned volunteers. We tell people all the time, this club operates 10,000 moving parts. At any given time, match directors, program directors, volunteers, it's all made up of volunteers. And the work that goes into that, we couldn't get done what we did without that. Jill, women's programs.
We are going to do a small event this April. So I've reached out, we have quite a waiting list, so I've reached out to those on the waiting list to events. But this first one will be small. And then I'm also working on connecting to set up some committees to get some ideas for creating some activities for women in the club that are members for shooting opportunities.
Good. Anything else good for the club? Yes.
Updates on some of the short-term projects. I took some measurements and pictures. I'll get those printed out for our next board meeting, but I think we're going to need probably at least a dumpster, a dump truck load of gravel pretty much for every spot. There's a lot of mud, there's a lot of wear and tear, and I think especially on that far end of the range, I think it's going to require a lot more gravel. So updated that, the firing line, the ceasefire line, or the cold line, the yellow line that we'd step behind on the rifle range. I think that one of the concerns was when members are backing up, are they going to be standing there waiting for people to go all the way down range in direct sunlight the entire time?
Yep.
The most expensive option would be extend the roof. I don't think that that's really the best play, but we could possibly extend that little seating area, but the easiest and the cheapest ways to combat the sun with the line is maybe one of those an awning or
Canopy.
a canopy that would block out the sun, or maybe a few umbrellas for some of the people that want to stand in the shade. But as far as the line is concerned, there's plenty of room for it. There's just not enough room for the line.
Yep.
And no sun.
Yeah. I was out there the other day, you feel it when you back up. I mean, if you back all the way out, so to speak, I usually just stand up and back away a couple of feet and just don't touch anything.
I think it's RSO's managing for not like a weekday afternoon, but like a weekend when all the lanes are open. It's hard for the RSO to be able to manage that unless people are back far enough to see that they're away from the roads.
I'd like to suggest that before we go to a yellow line, because the other thing to consider out there is a yellow line is really it's, if it's practical at all, it's only practical on the rifle range. We don't have any concrete at all on sighted, pistol, and either one of the playing ranges. As a matter of fact, the difference from the shooting benches to the back of the concrete on those ranges is only a few feet. In keeping with our spirit of incrementalism like we have out here, let's try our banning guest and see if, that's the least intrusive thing we can do. Let's see if that fixes the problem. In keeping with that spirit of incrementalism, my thought is, as a first step, let's just say the rules: when the range is full, you have to be at least arm's length from a firearm. You can't be able to reach out and touch a firearm. And let's give that a chance to work. For that.
It's worked for 50 years.
Yeah.
But the only reason the yellow line came up was it was in our survey, and we had one or two members that mentioned they think we should have a yellow line. That's the only reason it came up. On a daily basis, no one's ever asked for it, and I think Mike probably has a good idea. We'll be looking at the rules in April, and we'll just say an arm's length from there. And then,
Now, I'm just going to throw this out. We talked about it. It's not optimal, but it is an option. There's a second concrete pad at rifle. So you sit to the firing benches, there's about 6 feet of gravel, and then there's a second concrete pad that's fairly wide. We could put a second yellow line on that, and people would be welcome when the range is full to go up and stand in front of the yellow line.
To go forward.
To go forward. Because people are going down range anyway. It doesn't matter if you're in front of the firing line or not. So we could have one yellow line behind the benches, one yellow line forward, and you could be, just as long as you're outside the yellow lines, we'd be good.
I suggest we go minimalist until,
arm's length first.
Yeah,
See what happens.
common sense should prevail.
So I just wanted to get some guidance from the board on how you want me to proceed.
Well, we'll have a meeting again with John, and we'll get together and put all our findings together and make a report.
Anything else good for the club? Yes, Gene?
Can I ask Mike a question? When y'all are looking at the rules this year, Dave and I have talked about this in the shotgun qualification class. We allow a member that brings a guest for the trap shooters and fire stand if everybody in the squad agrees that is a safe shooter. We allow them to shoot unsupervised, because at one point, you're going to be on position 1, and your guest is going to be on position 5, so you can't stand right behind them.
Yeah.
So we're still going with that policy, even though our rules don't say that. They used to say it, but they took that paragraph out.
We'll take a look at it. I'll write up a draft.
Like an unwritten rule.
I have about 6 or 7 drafts, but I'll just present them all at once for a single rule change.
Common sense is our biggest problem.
Anything else? Thank you, Gene. We will recess and come back into session in 5 minutes. We'll be in closed session. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
That's who asked.
I was,
Which one's on?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
What's Phil's?
Want some pizza?
I have another slice of pizza.
Plain?
Yeah, I think, I want to do